Thank you guys for clicking on the video, and I am Sully, and today, fellas, we're going to talk about NHL free agency versus NBA free agency. I almost didn't get that one out, but we're going to talk about the comparison and what the NHL could really learn from the NBA, so let's jump into it. If you didn't know, LeBron is going back to Cleveland. Everyone was talking about it, and I sort of got to thinking how the NHL really... players could really tap into what the NBA All-Stars or Stars have mastered, which is their own brand, their own marketability. And I know the culture of hockey is like, it's a team first, and, the shield first, and NBA. Some hockey fans view NBA players as selfish because they talk about themselves. But in reality, let's not kid ourselves. Would people still watch Pittsburgh if they didn't have Crosby and Malkin? Would people still watch the Capitals without Ovechkin? I mean, stars drive the league. That's the reality. Taves and Kane. Would people watch the Blackhawks outside of Chicago if they didn't have those players? And it got me thinking, would there ever come a moment where you would see sort of what Miami did? What Miami did, not Boston, but Miami, where players take less money and choose to team up like that? Would Crosby, Ovechkin, and pick your player, Perry or someone else team up together to form this crazy all-star line? Or why don't NHL players sort of work in tandem like NBA players? And why don't they draw themselves or market themselves as a brand? I know hockey players have their own line, Ovechkin has his own clothing line and his own, sticks and stuff like that, but why don't you see that same brand popularity that NBA players do? Why can't NHL players do that? And I wanted to get your guys' opinion. I know free agency is a great time for hockey fans because you talk about where players can go, but that drama that LeBron creates, that Melo creates, I mean, can there be that like the NHL? Now, is it different because the NHL has such a bigger market compared to the NBA? And LeBron is a global phenomenon. I mean, he almost overtook the World Cup story. People would more talk about LeBron than the World Cup, so I don't think there's ever going to be that level of an NHL player. But do you guys ever think that players would be able to work in such a way where the NHL free agency sort of rivals what LeBron did? Could you imagine if Kane and Taves held out? And I don't know, I just got me thinking that I think so much ESPN coverage of the NBA, and the NBA players, they market that well, and how come NHL players don't do that? I think it could be a culture thing. NHL players, from who I've talked to, and I've talked to quite a few, and hockey players, they seem really humble guys. They really don't have that big of personalities, but I would say neither does LeBron. LeBron's not a big off-court personality, but he's exciting on the ice. So I don't know what it is, but it just got me thinking, the NHL sort of needs to take a page from the NBA in that regard about marketing the stars. I think that could be an even better way of getting the game out there, show off the skill set of these players. But anyways, back to the commentary. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. What do you think about free agency? Do you like it the way it is because you don't want your players to be viewed as selfish guys? But basketball is just a team sport, as hockey is. I think they're very much the same. The Spurs prove that just because you have the greatest play in the world doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to win. You still need to have a team. And because there's less players in the NBA compared to the NHL, naturally the stars are going to become fewer and bigger compared to the NHL. That doesn't mean that team play is diminished in the NBA compared to the NHL. I mean, you look at Messi. Messi is worldwide. Everyone knows him. And he understands that's a team game. So maybe it's because hockey is it's getting to become a worldwide sport, but right now it's mostly played in colder areas. I know it's popular in California, but that doesn't mean that Canada's market for hockey is vastly different than California's market for hockey. That's sort of what I'm trying to say. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Can the NHL or can players in the NHL take a page from the NBA and try and brand themselves more? realize that you have star power and you can draw people to the game. And just because you do that doesn't mean that you're any less of a team player. Like, I hate when I see Twitter accounts where they say, like, LeBron says I, but some hockey player says we, and they're like, that's the difference. Like, that's just stupid. You're just cherry picking quotes. I mean, I don't know. That's another story for another day. But let me know what you guys think. I'm interested to hear your thoughts down below in the comments section. And if you don't want to leave a comment, could you please leave a like if you found this video entertaining, just as a way to communicate to me that I'm doing a decent job at this talking thing. And I hope you guys have a great day. Take care and peace in the Middle East. I'll talk to you later.